Hey friends, welcome to this brand new part of DP203 Azure Data Engineering. This is the YouTube handle. There are 700 plus videos on what? On different AWS certifications, different Azure certifications, Google Cloud, and Snowflake, Tableau, and so on. If you have not yet subscribed, do so. It will help you with certification. Let us jump into this question. I do not like long questions in the certification exam. This is long question for me. I get bored. So this box, what is this box? This box is data lake storage Gen 2. Okay. What are you doing here? Simple. You are putting a data lake there. Who will access the data lake? A Synapse database. This guy here is a Synapse database. Okay. This guy will access the data lake files. Okay. Now, how can the access happen? Only when you are in VNet, VNet 1. Otherwise, access cannot happen. Now, who has to access it? Simple. Who's the player who will access? Sales team. Okay, and POSIX controls and blah 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 all are there. Now what happens is every hour this data needs to be loaded from here till here. Okay, every hour. So you need to ensure SQL pool can load the sales data from the data lake table. So that means, what is this question about? This question is about access. You are entering an office campus. We need to make sure you are able to get in. Simple. So it is about access. Now, if we are inside Azure, we have a Azure virtual network also. Then what do we need? We need managed identity. Okay, managed identity. What is managed identity? Why do we need it? Okay, it is Active Directory feature. Managed identity is not a service themselves. Using Active Directory, you can do managed identity. So basically, suppose you are on Azure. This service needs to talk to that service. Create managed identity. Synapse Analytics needs to talk to data lake storage. Create managed identity. Okay. Why we use this? Because it is very secure, one, and a convenient way to authenticate and authorize. What are we doing with managed identity? Authentication and authorizing. See, usually how do we authenticate and authorize? We enter username and password. But what are those? Those are credentials. So here we are saying we will not again and again enter credentials. When suppose your reports are talking to database, will you feel good if again and again it keeps prompting, hey, can you enter your username and password for the database? No, you would not like it. That is why we know that business users will not like it. That's why we create managed identity. Simple. So once you have a managed identity, what next? You need to add that managed identity to the sales group, because who is going to access this? Sales team. So that managed identity should be given to sales group, so that sales group people need not again and again enter their credentials. Okay. Now once this is done, you have managed identity, you have given it to sales group. Now what to do? Get to the climax, man. How many times you will just foreplay and close it? Get to the climax point. What is the climax point? Point number 3. You have to use that to complete your load process. That is what the question is asking. You want to plan the load, so complete the load process. So manage identity can be used as credential for data load. Simple. You can read this in your leisure time, but manage identity as a credential for data load process. That's why it eliminates the need to store and manage credentials within your code or configuration files. See, within your code, you should never save credentials. Common sense, boss. If you want thieves to enter your house, then you keep your keys below the doormat. Everybody knows below the doormat people keep keys. So do not do not mess with that. Don't, I mean, use your common sense, boss, please. Now we might ask ourselves, why not SAS, shared access signature? See, SAS, why do we use? Temporary access. You are working for Bank of America, but you are an Infosys employee. They will give you temporary access because you are vendor. Suppose you just want 1 month access to extract the data from a source system. They will give you shared access. What is SaaS? It is a token based authentication. There is a time limit, 1 month, 2 months, 1 week, 2 weeks, so on. So what is the difference between managed entity? See, I usually, initially when I was preparing, I used to get confused. How is managed entity different than SaaS? First of all, SaaS, there is a different purpose. It is temporary in nature. First, okay. Second, it is token based, and here we are using managed entity will make use of Active Directory, okay, and managed entity is used for authenticating Azure resources. That is the business purpose. SaaS is used to provide temporary access for external clients or applications. This is the difference. So this is wrong. Now D says that you add your Active Directory accounts to sales group. Can this be done? Yes, but probably only in one scenario. You have a scenario where on premises also you have AD and cloud also you have AD. You have to synchronize. That is the only scenario where this thing is done. So you may pause and read this. So this would be our answer. But anybody, do you understand what are POSIX controls? What is POSIX? Let me briefly touch POSIX, though in this question this was more of a sound or a noise. So POSIX compatible, we say you can perform operations like read, write, delete files and so on. And in Azure, why do you use? Because you want to maintain compatibility, like whatever you are sending, others people can read and receive it. Okay, then existing tools and utilities should be able to work. Like if you use POSIX, then blob storage will work with it, and seamless integration. Okay, if I send you a file, you should be able to read it. If you send someone else a file, they should be able to read it. That is the purpose of POSIX. It's the standard kind of thing. So we have covered these good concepts now. So let us move to the next question. Before you do that, see, this is a YouTube handle of this channel. No other channel goes to this amount of depth to explain the questions. Okay, so please focus on the concepts. Now in this question, you need to design Synapse Analytics. Okay, and these are your requirements. You have to choose between this. See, my answer here, I'll tell you straight cut. Okay, the moment, see, this is how I answer in the exam. The moment I see the word can return an employee record from a given point in time, that means it has history. Okay, if it has history, it has to be slowly changing dimension type 2. Okay, it will give you latest information, it will minimize query complexity, and it will return historical point also. So this is the answer. Now you might say, boss, what about temporal table, what about other stuff? Let me explain you. But before that, go through this slide. See, what is slowly changing dimension type 2? It is used to track historical changes. Okay, where does our question say history? This is the point where it is talking about historical changes. So it maintains multiple version of records. I'll give you an example. Okay, we were working for Airtel once. So there, one customer initially took mobile phone from Airtel cell phone service. Then this guy took broadband service also. Okay, the addresses are different, so we harmonize the addresses. Now this guy keeps changing, he stays on rent, so every year he changes. So now whatever happens, if he has last 5 years 5 address, we will have 5 address stored here. This is how we maintain SCD, and not only SCD, type 2 SCD. So let us look at temporal table now. What is temporal table? See, it is a historical table. It will have full history of changes to what? To dimensions? No, boss. Everything, man. Entire tables data, fact table data. What is fact table? One table with so many fields, a very high volume. It will maintain the whole history. Okay. So, but we don't want full history of all data. We only want it for employee table. That is a dimension table. We don't want it for the fact table. See, if you have some audit problems, if you want to maintain complete audit, then you use this. In this context, A is wrong. Now B, SQL graph table. See, graph table we use for scenarios like Amazon.com. The moment you buy one product, it also tells you, boss, people who bought nappy pads, they also bought baby powder and so on. Basically, graph databases give you recommendations. That is used for recommendations. In this question, did anybody talk about recommendation? No. So graph database is wrong. It is a feature of SQL Server. You can fire graph-like structures. Okay. It provides graph database capabilities. That means a recommendation engine. What is degenerate dimension table? It is in warehouse. In warehouse, if you see degenerate dimension table, it contains only single column and it's a unique identifier. So it is used for transaction or event related facts that don't require additional information. Suppose you have one fact table, it records sales transaction. One of the attribute is unique order number. It serves as a specific order. So in this case, order number can be treated as degenerate dimension. Rather than creating a separate dimension table to store order related information, such as order date, customer name, and so on, we store that directly in the fact table itself. That is called degenerate dimension table. So the purpose is very different and it does not align to this requirement. Hence, our final answer would be option D. So friends, if you have not yet subscribed, do so. It will help you. No other channel is going to explain you to this level of depth because a lot of people don't have that knowledge. Okay, subscribe, gain this knowledge, help yourself to clear your cloud certifications. There is a link in the description. You can become a paid member and gain access to more questions. There is no scam, no trap. It is a monthly subscription. The moment you cancel it, it gets cancelled. Okay. So this brings us to the end of part 11. There are 700 plus videos on this channel on AWS, different certifications on AWS, different on Azure, Google Cloud, Snowflake, and so on. So stay tuned, stay focused. See you in the next part.